What's up, people? Sorry, I'm starting a little late. My two cohorts are running late as well. Sorry about that. We're all looking forward to starting this tonight. Halloween 4 book. And, what's up, Volpar? Oh, no problem. Glad you're hanging out. Hope you're a fan of Halloween 4. We're looking forward to doing Halloween 4. So, for those that don't know, we've been doing Halloween Book Club now for about 6 months, I guess. So, we've already done the original Halloween novelization by Curtis Richards, and we did Halloween 2 and 3 by Jack Martin. And today we are starting Halloween 4 from Nicholas Grabowski. And there's 3 versions of this. That's why you see 3 on the thumbnail. You see 3 up in the corner here. There is the original smaller version, which I have put away. Then there was the extended edition, I believe. I forget what it's called. But then there's this one, the Ultimate Edition. And the reason we're doing this is because if you do not own the book, you can do the audio version on YouTube. So we figured let's go with that one just in case people don't have the book. So yeah, so looking forward to this. It's a little I guess it's sort of like tying a knot on this timeline because now the original 2 novelizations tie into each other. Obviously 3 doesn't. But this will be the last book that ties into the Laurie Strode, the sister arc, because the next novelization, because they didn't do a novelization for 5, they didn't do one for 6, they didn't do H2O, they didn't do Resurrection, and of course they didn't do the Rob Zombie movies. So from this novelization, after we do 3 episodes per book. So when we're done with this, we're going to go straight to Halloween 2018, and then probably go to the Kelly O'Rourke novels. If those that aren't familiar, they were like back in the late 90s they came out. There's 3 different ones by Kelly O'Rourke. They're like young adult novels, but based with the Michael Myers theme behind them. They're pretty cool. And they're actually on YouTube too. So if you don't own them, because they're way overpriced to buy them if you don't have them now. It's freaking crazy. But let's check in the chat. Let's see. Big fan of Halloween. Favorite is H. Well, we just did the Halloween 3 book club. H3, go back and watch it. And we did 1 and 2. So we basically give you guys the Cliff Notes version of the novelizations. Hey, what's up, Ryan? Everybody's starting to filter in. What's going on? And my cohorts hopefully will pop in. They have some stuff that came up. You know, life happens. And they have stuff with their kids, which is more important than doing this. So I may be flying solo unless they pop in a little bit later. I know Joe's disappointed because this is one of his favorite in the franchise. So he's looking forward to starting this. So basically, what we do is we just go chapter by chapter. Each episode we try to divide, depending on how many chapters there are in the novelization, we try to divide it into 3 episodes. So there's 31 chapters in here, plus a prologue and an epilogue. So we split it into 3 separate episodes of 11. So tonight we're going to do the prologue, and tonight we're going to go through chapters 1 through 11. One thing about Nicholas Grabowski is he made the chapters very short, which I like. The first 3 novelizations, there was a lot less chapters. I believe they were all 3 had prologue, epilogue, and then 13 chapters, but the chapters were long. So but this, it breaks it up, so it's not such a task especially if you're busy. But let's see. Let's go with we're going to go through the prologue. Now, if you read the prologue, it's it basically just sets the atmosphere of Haddonfield and in 1988 when the movie came out. So if you guys remember the beginning credits of Halloween 4 rather, which are awesome because they're such a departure from all the other beginning credits, because it doesn't begin with Michael, it doesn't begin with the theme, it doesn't begin with anything like that. It just has that cool full atmosphere. They're showing you the farms and the straw and the pumpkins, and it's got the great just wind in the background type soundtrack. So, and that's basically what the prologue does. It basically sets these are my notes, basically sets the scene of Haddonfield 1988 and the backstory of Michael Myers. Talk about how calm it's been. It's quiet. The town is back to normal. It's 10 years after. Some people don't even know, you'll remember, are some of the teenagers not aware of it because 10 years ago, it's over and done with. And of course, some of the older folks do remember what happened because you do have Halloween 2 in here. So you do have the story that everything that happened at the hospital. So people do know about it, but everything seems to be settled down. Laurie's age group has moved on. They're all older now. They're all having kids, obviously, because Jamie's her kid. And we know, of course, in this timeline, because Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't going to come back, Jamie gets killed off in an accident, so she's gone, and the parents and the father, so they're not involved. But basically, that's what the prologue. Like, there's nothing of note in there other than it's basically setting up what's going to happen in this film. Basically, exactly what happened in the movie. That whole fall atmosphere, minus the backstory of Myers. So that is basically the prologue. So we'll be going through these pretty quick because the chapters are really, really short. And so chapter 1, I'm calling Michael Leaves Ridgemont. So if you guys remember how it starts on a rainy night, Halloween night, the night before Halloween, rather, and they're going to pick up and transfer Michael from Ridgemont Federal Sanitarium to Smith's Grove. Yeah, it always seems to happen. Stop. You ever see those memes? Stop moving Michael Myers on Halloween. Yeah, well, yeah. This is actually the first to do it, so we can't argue with this. So basically, there isn't too many differences in this first chapter versus the film. But we'll go through it. It opens up with the ambulance, just like in the film. They're driving, and it's a rainy night. And we get a little bit more backstory of the people actually that's in the ambulance, because there's actually 4 people in the ambulance, which you do hear later on in the movie when they say how many people are in the bus. I don't know why they kept calling it a bus, because it was an ambulance. So they do backstory. There's a guard and there's a guy in the front seat. He's a heavy smoker, and they make note of there's a little sticker that says no smoking, and of course he's smoking. And then you have the two technicians in the back, which are the ones you're going to see that actually go into Ridgemont. One signs him out, one's checking his vitals. So let's see. The driver puts the radio in. It does make note that they're driving, and the radio's the driver is changing the station, and Mr. Sandman comes on. Nice little nod to Halloween too. Yeah, I love when they throw those in the novelization, where they just throw these little nods to the other books and the other films. They go to Ridgemont Federal Sanitarium. Ridgemont guard. They give him a little bit of backstory about the guard. Actually, there's a guard that brings him in, and it's not the guard that you see in the film. That's the guy that takes them up by Myers. So he's in here too. So same thing. They have to put all the metal objects in the tray. They have to go through the metal detector, just like in the film. Leave everything out there. Not even the metal detector. They just want them to empty their pockets, because I don't think there was a metal detector in the film from what I remember. And the guard, that whole exposition scene where the guard is in the elevator and they're going up to get Michael, and he gives the whole backstory. So they give the whole backstory of the film. So if you didn't know, this was the first film you saw, this is where you find out what happened before this film. So it's pretty cool. Well, Joe was helping his daughter move some stuff for college, so he's going to try to chime in because this is one of his favorites. So he was annoyed, and Brett's running a little late too. He had something. Their kids are a lot younger than mine, so I have a little bit more free time. So they got to take care of what they got to take care of, and if they jump in, they said they'll probably jump in a little bit late. I started a little bit later because I was busy as hell today. Metal objects, and the whole exposition scene where he's talking about Myers, just like in the film. This one, I'll be glad to see this one go. Halloween night, he's killed 16 people 10 years ago. And then his doctor tried to blow him up, and they nearly both burned to death. So that's how you know right away that Loomis did survive. So it's basically the same exposition scene that you see in the film. But they do he talks about some of the other inmates, like this one killed a bunch of people and cooked them. This one cut up his neighbor. So there's a bunch of other psychos as they're walking through. And he gives a little bit of backstory on, which you don't get in the film. And they come to Dr. Hoffman, the same conversation. We're here to pick up Myers and who signs for it. And of course, he goes off to sign at Hoffman's office, and the girl goes off to check Michael's vital signs, just like in the film. So nurse checks out Myers. His hand moves, of course, just like you see in the film. Conversation about Dr. Loomis takes place, because just like in the film, he brings up, he said, shouldn't Dr. Loomis be here? Michael Myers is still his patient. And of course, if Loomis read memos, he'd be here. But with Michael being transferred, I'm hoping he'll either transfer, retire, or die. So it's all basically the same thing. Dr. Hoffman's got no love for Dr. Loomis. In the novelization, same way as in the movie. And let's see. So now they prep him just like they're taking him out. Now this is a little bit different here, because now, if you remember in the film, when the two I guess EMTs, you want to call them, that were signing him out and checking his vitals. In the film, they're the ones that are talking about him having a niece and her being too young to be his legal ward. Here, Dr. Hoffman mentions it because one of the doctors, one of the EMTs asks, and he mentions that, Dr. Hoffman says, he's got a nurse back in his hometown, but she's too young to be his ward. So that's where Michael hears it. That's a little bit of a difference there. Why is my basement door open? Hello? Oh, it's you. I'm like, why is my basement door open? Yeah. That's what happens when you're on live TV. My daughter. On live internet TV. What the hell am I talking about? So that is, I believe, all of chapter 1. Yeah, that is all of chapter 1. See, that's what's nice. Keeps it moving, keeps it flowing, easier to digest with shorter chapters. So shout out to Nicholas Grabowski. Not that I didn't enjoy the other books, but they're just a little bit too long-winded. It's nice to have it break up a little bit, and it's easier to identify what's what. So we're moving on to chapter 2. Chapter 2 is, I'm calling Jamie and the Nightmare Man, and I'm sure a few Halloween 4 fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So Jamie and the Nightmare Man. So now we flash to the Carruthers house, and there's Jamie. She's up. It's the middle of the night. It's a rainy night. She's up with Sunday, the dog. And I'm telling you what's on the film. I should just look this all up here. Okay. And of course, Rachel wakes up and the conversation takes place just like in the film. You know, do you love me like a sister, like a real sister, or that whole dialogue between the two? Of course, Jamie goes back. Jamie sees the ambulance because this is a dream sequence, because you got to remember, she's seen this ambulance and of course it's not there because it's already crashed. So it's all part of a sequence here, because that's why she wakes up in the closet later. So Rachel puts Jamie back to bed. The same scene with Michael takes place, where she you see the lightning flash, and then he's by the mirror, and she opens up that shoebox that she has in the closet that's got the picture of her mom, just some old family pictures. There's a picture of I guess assuming it's her father, and he's up on her shoulders, just like in the film. And Jamie does get in bed, says her prayers, just like in the film, and then the closet door opens. And then as she's going to go to the closet, just like in the film, he grabs her leg from underneath the bed. Then she screams, runs towards the closet. Actually runs by the door, runs to the closet door. Then she runs to open the other door because she sees Myers. And then he appears at the door with a knife, like it's in a stabber. And then what happens? They all come running and they find her in the closet because she's obviously since fallen asleep, and it's a nightmare. Basically the same thing as the film. Really not too much of a difference there. The one thing I did make note of, the shoebox spills, I guess as they grab her, she spills all the photos. And I do remember her seeing a photo. Well, later on, you see a photo of Michael in the mask, which is Will Sandin, I'm assuming. But here they're saying the shoebox spills out, and you see a 1963 photo of Michael and Judith in front of the Myers house. So that would have been pretty cool to see the two of them. But in the movie, you just see just Myers. And that's how to show you how quickly these chapters go. That's chapter 2. Yeah, we just fly through them. Look at that. And chapter 3. Dr. Loomis and Dr. Hoffman. The dick that he was, right? It's chapter 3. This is where you see our beloved Donald Pleasance, coming down the hallways of Ridgemont Sanitarium with his cane, and we see that he's scarred up a bit, and they made him up to be like a burn victim a little bit. So, of course, of the aftermath of what happened from 10 years before. So of course, the conversation takes place with Hoffman and Dr. Loomis, just like in the film. Like, why did you let them take it out of here? And he's like, spare me this. I've listened to her for a decade, because he's just disgusted with it. And same thing. He's a federal prison. He's subject to federal law. And he's just like, we're talking about evil on two legs. This is not just simply some person. So, of course, this whole thing goes back and forth. And there's a little bit more dialogue going back and forth, saying, I think you're obsessed with him. Some of the staff tells me you come here and you just sit there and stare at him and just watch him. Yeah, because he's waiting to find out when the alarm's going to go off and he's going to get up. And he knows now that they've since moved him. This is it. Loomis makes Hoffman call Smith's Grove. See, in the film, he gets a phone call and it said there seems to be an accident, and they talk about the accident and about the ambulance crashing. Here they don't. So Loomis makes Hoffman call Smith's Grove to see if they got there and everything was okay. And he didn't want to do it, but he's like, you know, if I get rid of you, I'll call. So he calls Smith's Grove, and Smith's Grove says, no, they're a couple hours late. They're not here yet. Of course, since the ambulance crashed, so they're not aware of the crash in the novelization at this point. So he gets off the phone, and as he's telling Loomis, they didn't get there, they're a little behind, he looks up, and Loomis is already gone because he knows. So here, Hoffman chases him, and this is where, because you do notice in the film, when Hoffman's yelling at Loomis, they run off together, and of course they're together because Hoffman wants to go with him because he wants to make sure he doesn't cause a scene because he thinks he's just lost his marbles. So here, this is where he chases him, and Loomis says, I'm going to Haddonfield to find it. It will be after, and this is where you hear about Laurie Strode's daughter. He tells Hoffman about it. He says, is going to Haddonfield, and it will be after Laurie Strode's daughter, because he knows that's the only living relative, because this is where they're still pushing the family angle, where Michael just wants to kill people in the family. So that was still at this juncture in the franchise. And that's chapter 3. Look at that. Flying through the chapters. And chapter 4, Michael could have been thrown from the bus. It's one of my favorite lines because it's so stupid. Michael could have been thrown from the bus. Meanwhile, there's like blood everywhere. I mean, some accidents are graphic, but you can see that people were ripped apart in this, and the ambulance is just basically like on top, just flipped over. Great. Could that happen? Yeah. A lot of people can get hurt, but like, this is just carnage. And there's actually a part in here where it sort of alludes to the fact that it's carnage. So let's get to that. So chapter 4, Michael could have been thrown from the bus. So chapter 4, trooper scene with the crashed ambulance, just like you see in the film. The troopers are inspecting the ambulance. It looks like a traffic. They were saying how graphic it is, and it looks like one of those traffic training videos that they used to watch, where about what's the ones that we used to, like, blood flows right on the highway. They should show you those crazy ones, basically to scare you to driving, to being careful driver, not drinking and driving too. Loomis asks Hoffman, "Is that it?" And meaning, like, is that it? Like, are you satisfied? And he's like, no, it's this. Where are the bodies? How many bodies did you find? And they said it's hard to tell because they're all chewed up. Well, you know what? You get an accident where an ambulance flips over, you should be able to tell how many bodies are there. So obviously something else happened here, and this guy Hoffman is just a complete douchebag. So Loomis goes to the ambulance like in the film. Loomis says, "You won't find him. He's gone." And the whole thing that says, Michael had been thrown from the bus, and the trooper saying, "Well, I've seen guys thrown, 100 yards away, the whole 9 yards." And he's saying even if Michael was conscious, his muscles would be useless. He's been laying in a coma and laying in a bed for 10 years. So all his muscles should have atrophied by now, so he wouldn't be able to do anything. And this is one of my favorite lines, which is in my video, one of some of my favorite Dr. Loomis lines from each film. This is the one I chose for this. You're talking about him like he was a human being. That part of him died years ago. So I love that line. Gotta love Loomis lines. And this is where I was talking about, where you see the carnage. So Loomis looks down, and he sees something shiny on the ground, and he thinks, and it turns out to be a gold earring. But it's not just a gold earring, like it just fell out. It's a gold earring still attached to an ear. So why would an ear be laying all the way on the other side of the ambulance if some serious carnage didn't happen there? So he says, "You know what? Haddonfield, it's a 4-hour drive. If you need me, you can get me to the police," right? And the trooper asks, what's his story? And because he takes off and leaving Hoffman there, and the trooper says, "What is his story? What's up with him?" And Hoffman's like, "You don't even want to know." So that's how that whole scene takes place. A little bit extra dialogue. I like the whole thing about him seeing the earring with the ears. So it's some serious shit went down. And that's chapter 4. Michael could have been thrown from the bus. So chapter 5, breakfast at the Carruthers. All right. So now we go to the Carruthers house. Just like in the film, you see, actually we're introduced to, because I don't remember learning the names watching the film. So so here, the father is Richard Carruthers, and the mother is Darlene Carruthers. So at least you put names to a face. They were always just Mr. and Mrs. Carruthers. So flash to the morning, and who's there? There's Darlene and Richard Carruthers getting ready, and she's on the phone because now she's finding out that her babysitter broke her ankle and she can't babysit. And there is who walks in, but Rachel. She sits down, she starts getting a bagel ready, and then she starts to hear what's going down, and she's trying to figure out a way to get the hell out because she knows they're going to ask her to babysit. So that dialogue plays out, and then same conversation with Rachel and the mom, where I got that date with Brady. I don't want it. He wanted to make a commitment tonight. And of course, Jamie's standing there. Here's the whole thing. All this is ruined tonight because I have to babysit. And of course, she's upset. If I wasn't here, you could go out tonight. So that whole scene plays out where she goes to try to comfort her and says, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I was just a little upset. And then she says, I'll take you out for some ice cream later. Of course, double scoops. And so she calms that situation down, and we're good. Who's that? Michael, what's up? Mr. Doolin, what's shaking? Good to see you. And that's how quick these chapters go. So chapter 5 is done as well. So before we go to chapter 6, I'm going to take a quick drink of something because I'm getting dry from chatting too much. That's what's good about having 2 extra people on the podcast, because everybody talks and you save your voice. So cheers to everybody out there for Tuesday night. Chapter 6 is Penney's gas station and cafe, and I'm sure you know the scene we're talking about here. So there's a little bit more backstory here, because here we would just naturally see Dr. Loomis pull into the gas station to get gas. We don't, and then we learn about the aftermath of what happened before he got there. Here we're going to find out what went down before he showed up there and found the people dead. Although in the movie you do see Myers, the bandaged Myers, which I love, kill the one mechanic that was underneath, whose name is here somewhere. He does kill the one mechanic, but let's go through it. So introduced to Norman, who's the mechanic, one of the mechanics at the Penney's gas station. So apparently it's a family-run business, and he married into the family, and it's just like another day here, and he's just very bored. And apparently he's a pothead, and so is the other guy. And they usually smoke, and the one guy didn't have anything. So there's a little bit of dialogue about that. And Norman was the pothead, and but he popped some red pills from Glenn. So Glenn is the other mechanic who works there also. And Michael sees. So actually, Norman is he's the mechanic that you don't see. The one underneath the thing is Glenn. So this would have been a great scene to see. I wish they would have filmed something this. So now they're in the garage where eventually Michael's going to go kill the mechanic. But the guy Norman looks through the garage windows and sees Michael standing out there, like his typical stalking stature. Sees him standing over by the pumps in his his white outfit and mask. And the guy's like, "Well, what the hell is that all about?" And he calls over to Glenn, and before he turns around, Michael's gone. Typical Myers fashion. He stalks and then he friggin' disappears on you. So Norm sees the side. So then Norm walks around inside the garage and sees the side door to the garage open, and he's just like, "Who the hell left the garage door open? I didn't do it." Michael's famous for opening doors and just leaving them open. I'll love the police car later on in this film. So then he hears Glenn, the mechanic underneath, asking for 9/16 socket or something like that. And as he's doing it, he turns the corner. There's Michael. And so if you remember in the movie, he has that big metal rod and he stabs the mechanic that Glenn, who comes out from underneath the car. Here he does the same thing to Norman, except he stabs him and up, almost like in Halloween Kills, when he had when he was killing the fireman outside of Laurie's house, and he had the big fire. I can't remember the name of it right now. The Halligan bar, and he picked up the one fireman, sort of the same way. So he did that to the one mechanic with the thing, pulled it out, and then the other one's talking, saying, "Hey, I'm asking for that wrench, just like in the film, but you didn't see him kill another mechanic in the film." He slides out from underneath, and then that's when Michael kills him with the metal spike, just like in the film. So that's how it plays out with that. So there's a little bit of backstory, additional mechanic, additional kill too, because you have the mechanic Norman. And let's see. Glenn is under the car and he kills him, right? And then this is where Michael sizes the two of them up and to see, all right, who can I, whose overalls can I fit in? So one of them, he had to take their overalls because that's how he gets his outfit. So yeah, so that's how that scene plays out. And that is chapter 6 of Penney's Gas Station and Cafe. Let's see, we're going to chapter 7. Chapter 7 is Don't Go to Haddonfield, Michael. And you know where we're going with this. Who says that to who, right? That's Dr. Loomis says it to Michael. If you want to know the victim, take me. Don't go and just leave those people. So chapter 7 rather. So Loomis, now this is where you see Loomis pull in, just like in the film. He pulls in to get gas at Penney's gas station. He's filling it up and he's expecting somebody to come out. Doesn't see any people. He's all right. So he fills it up. He looks and sees how much money he's got in his pocket. Goes into the, see, where does he go? So he's curious as nobody's around and he looks into the garage windows. Doesn't see anybody, thinking there's mechanics in there. Doesn't see anybody. But he heard something in the garage. So he was calling for people, just like in the film. Calling for people in the garage. Doesn't see anybody. And then he goes inside the door and Loomis sees Norman, the mechanic, his nude body hanging. So he's got the body hanging up. So it's strung up because, Michael always liked to display his victims. And obviously he stole Norman's overalls because those are the ones that fit. He then sees the other mechanic, Glenn, dead on the floor. Loomis heads over to the cafe, just like in the film. Here's Hank Williams playing on the radio. I don't know why I chose to put Hank Williams in this, but whatever. Here's Hank Williams on the radio, and he sees the dead waitress behind the counter. Yes, he is quite the artist. That's one thing I miss about Myers. Although they did bring it back in a little bit in Kills, where he displayed Big John and Little John. But it was always great the way he used to display his victims, because it was like a trick or treat. It was a treat, or a trick rather, for him, it's like that's what he was doing, killing, and he was just placing the bodies out. I missed that. And he sees the dead waitress behind the counter, just like in the film, which famously is Mike Lookinland's wife, who is Bobby Brady. Bobby Brady's wife, because Bobby Brady was a production assistant on this film. So that's his wife that's laying there dead. So he reaches for the phone, but the cord is cut. And then he finds a payphone, same thing, the cord is cut. And then this is when he sees Michael. The long shot of him where he's in the coveralls and he's got the bandaged mask. And this is where the conversation takes place. Why now? Don't go to Haddonfield. You want a victim? Take me. Leave those people in peace. All that stuff plays the same. And then, Michael got Damien. And just as he starts to shoot, Michael takes off. And Loomis, then you see him outside calling for Michael. He goes out by his car, just like in the film, and then that's when Michael comes busting out with the excuse me, with the tow truck, and he hits the pumps, hits Loomis's car, and then that's when the whole place goes up in flames. And this would have been a cool scene, because when all the fire, because remember, Loomis jumps to get out of the way of everything exploding. That would have been cool to visualize, because it makes note of here that how Loomis had a flashback because of all the fire around him. He had a flashback of being in the fire at the end of H2. Like, how am I getting out of here, just like last time? So that would have been a cool visual if they put that in Halloween 4, where they took you back to the end of, well, originally, for those that don't know, Alan B. McElroy, who wrote the script, wrote the script for the manuscript for Halloween 4. His original intention to open up the film was the ending of Halloween 2, where a wall, you hear like a beating, and then all of a sudden you see an explosion come out and two people flying out, and that was supposed to be Myers and Loomis. That would have been awesome. And this sort of plays into it, because here, if you would have had that flashback where he was flashing back to being trapped in that fire, would have been cool. Plus, I'm a big fan. More Loomis we get, the better. So, yeah, Bandage Michael was cool. I would have been fine with him if he was bandaged through a lot of the film, because I think that it was creepy as all hell. And then Loomis gets up after, and just obviously you see the makes note of the telephone lines burning just because the long distance line is going to be down later in the film because they can't get long distance. And then Loomis, dusts himself off and just starts walking towards Haddonfield, just like in the film. And that is chapter 7. So let's see what's going on in chapter 8. Chapter 8, this is where you get all those asshole kids that are being bullies. So chapter 8, Jamie's bullies. So now we're flashing to Jamie getting out of school, just like in the film. The end of school scene with Jamie plays out the same. The kids teasing Jamie. The whole thing, where's your mask? Or are you wearing a mask? Or Halloween is every day. Jamie's house is Jamie's uncle's the boogeyman. All that shit. Those asshole fucking kids were being dicks. Kids are, especially back then, kids were cruel as hell. So that all plays out, and then you get Rachel and Lindsay, of course, who was supposed to be Lindsay Wallace, pick up Jamie in the car, and then Rachel, Lindsay, the whole conversation with, you want to go to the discount mart because now Jamie wants to get a costume, and she's like, I don't know, because Brady's working. It's like, yeah, don't you want to talk to him? The whole scene plays out. Pretty much the same. Like, where am I going to drop you off? The discount mart, and then of course Jamie says, yeah, the discount mart, and then can we get ice cream after? All plays out the same. And but what they don't make note of is almost like which would have been a cool visual in here, like when they get to the discount mart and they flash to it, you see off in the distance, you see the tow truck, like in the film. Here it makes note that it was driving and it was nearby, so you can sort of see it almost like the visual of Annie and Laurie being followed in the original. So that would have been pretty cool. All right, so that's chapter 8. Like I said, these chapters go quick. I like it. Chapter 9, Reverend Jackson P. Sayer, or as in the book, he's not referred to as Jackson. He's referred to as Jack Sayer. I don't know why they shortened it, but it's not mentioned that he's Jackson P. Sayer. But I had to put Jackson P. Sayer because I just love that. So chapter 9 plays out the same, where there's a station wagon with a family, and he's trying to flag them down. Of course, they go past him just like in the film. But then you get those asshole kids in the fucking convertible that with the cheerleaders that must have just came from a game, pull over and they're like, come on. And then they have him run, and then they peel out and leave him in the dust like a bunch of assholes. And then, of course, who pulls up in that rackety old truck? Jackson P. Sayers. So what we'll call him Jack Sayers for this purposes, because that's how he's mentioned in the novelization. He's mentioned as Jack Sayers. The conversation, let's see, plays out the same. He picks him up. He mentions his name is Jack Sayers. One thing they make note of in here, he sings a different song. You remember he sings "We'll Gather at the River" in the film, but here was some other weird song which I don't remember. It's I never heard the song before, but it's not the same. But for whatever reason they changed it, I have no freaking clue. But it all takes place the same. He does offer. Besides offering them whiskey, he offers them milk duds, which is a little odd. A little corn whiskey and milk duds. I don't know how well that's going to bode in your stomach, but yeah. They blew it with those kids not getting slaughtered by Michael. Yeah, that's a good point, Ryan. That would have been good. Those asshole kids, if he would have came across them and freaking killed all them, that would have been a nice little victory for Loomis. That would have been fun. Those assholes. And that's how we meet Jack Sayer. He does appear a little bit more in one of the other chapters, but that's basically the introduction to him. There's a lot of dialogue, of course. You're hunting it, ain't you? I've been hunting it for 30 years, give or take. Came close a few times, and calls him a pilgrim because you're hunting it. All that stuff goes. It's all pretty much a lot of the same dialogue. So let's see. We're going to move on to chapter 10. Wow, that's going quick. Yeah, chapter 10. The Nightmare Man at the Discount Mart. Yeah. So chapter 10 is actually starts out. It does start out a little bit more with that, but Hoffman. It's where chapter 10. I'm trying to read because of my notes because I started going a little bit different direction. Oh, actually, you know what? This is actually going to be chapter 11, so I'm going to take that down. I forgot. So chapter 10 is, I typed it wrong. Chapter 11 is different. So let's do this real quick. I'm going to adjust it just because I get very anal about that. Chapter 10 is, hold on. Oh, come on. All right. My bad. I typed the wrong one. That's what happens when you're in a rush. So chapter 10 is, damn it, Loomis was right. And you got to see why. So chapter 10 is real. It's short. It's literally like 2 pages. Yeah, there's a copy of this on YouTube. The link is in the description of this video. There's a guy that actually reads it. There's a page called the /Track Network, and he reads all. He reads the Halloween novelizations, so you can listen to them just like an audiobook, because a lot of these are out of print. You can't get them. And he does a lot of other ones too. Like he does a couple of the Friday the 13th ones. He does a bunch of them. It's awesome that he does that. We're going to probably do some of those books too. So yeah, go check it out here. It's there. Unless you have the book and you can read it, you can still get this book, because Nicholas Grabowski still has, from what I understood, I think it was, I forget where I heard it, that he has the rights to this. That's why he put out a couple of different versions. So you can still get this, and you can get it directly from him, as far as I remember, and he'll even sign it. So this one's actually signed. So you can get it. But if you want to just listen to it, check out the link below on YouTube. So chapter 10, damn it, Loomis was right. So Hoffman is doing paperwork, and he's waiting to hear from Loomis, because Loomis left him in the dust. So Hoffman must have got a ride back with the police or something, because Loomis headed right over to Haddonfield. And Hoffman keeps calling to see if he can get Haddonfield police, and he keeps getting a recording. Why? Because the long distance lines are down. So, and he's getting aggravated, and he tries again, he keeps getting a recording, and he can't get that. And now he's like, so he gets so pissed, he takes it and just shoves the phone off his desk. And what is he saying? He says, damn it, Loomis was right. So now he realizes he fucked up. That's why. Cheers to Dr. Loomis being correct. Still have my Miller Lights from last night. Those that didn't catch our watch along of Major League in honor of Bob Uecker. That is the 10 chapters. Well, that is 10 chapters and the prologue. So in 2 weeks, we'll meet again, and we will do chapters 11 through 22, I guess. Yeah, there'll be another 11 chapters. And like the Ghost had asked, yes, you can listen to all of this for free on YouTube. Just click the link down here to the /Track Network. And what was it? It was a /Librarian, I think he calls himself. Something like that. I had that interview. Seemed like it went well. Which one, Brian? I'm confused. But yeah, those guys are good. They read all the novelizations. They put them up there, and it's great, because especially some of the earlier novels, like the original Halloween novel, is crazy expensive. So if you don't own it, these guys are doing God's work, because you don't even have to go out and buy the books, and you can listen to it. Like I'll just put it on the way to work, listen to it back and forth. So that's how I get to hear it. And it's just great. And that's why we're going to keep doing more of these, because once we finish Halloween 4, I don't believe they have, I don't think they have the David Gordon Green trilogy on there. 2018 Kills and Ends. I don't think they have it, but it's on Audible, and you can get Audible for like, I think usually you can get like a month free subscription. I think I did it the first month. I got rid of it because I didn't do it as much, but you can get it for a month and just read and just listen to all of them, and don't have to pay for them. So, but they're on Audible, because I own them all, but I don't have time to sit there and read them. I usually just listen on the way to work. Same thing with the Taking Shape books from Dustin McNeil, who we had on that horror movie podcast a couple of weeks back. So we're going to so I told him we're probably going to be doing his books on the book club as well. And he's sure, just let him know, he'll come on. So it'd be great to do a book club with the actual author. I was going to reach out to Nicholas Grabowski, because I know he's on Facebook, and I think he's pretty approachable. Maybe I'll reach out to see if I can get him maybe on the last episode, and we can just go through everything with him if he's willing to come on, or maybe after we do the novel. I want to reach out to him because that would be kind of cool to have one of the actual authors on here. It would be interesting because I know Jack Martin, whose real name is Jason Edmonston. I'm pretty sure he passed. Curtis Richards, I think, is still alive. I want to reach out to them. That'd be cool to sit there and talk to the actual authors. What is had the interview seem like I'm a mechanical maintenance manager at Chevron Phillips Chemical. One for the plant down the road from the one I work at. I'm confused. I'm definitely confused. Oh, I remember. Oh, that's right. You said something about you were getting an interview for a better position or something. Is that what you were referring to, Ryan? Help me out. So I'm pretty sure that's what you said. If it worked out well and you got congratulations, but I think that's what you said. Something about you trying out for another job. I forget. Help me out. But that is our chapters for this book club. And like I said, be sure to go back and check out the other book clubs because we had a lot of fun with those. There are 3 episodes each, or about an hour, maybe slightly under. We try to keep it to an hour with the book clubs, just keep it short. And the only thing that you'll notice about some of these novelizations, see, the one thing I did like, the first novelization is still my favorite. For one simple reason, it gives you a whole backstory of why Myers is the way he is. But which obviously was never used in the movie or never used any other time except for in the novelization. But it was kind of cool the backstory that it gave. But in every book with Myers in it so far, you'll notice that when they describe him killing, they describe him stalking. It's always from you looking at him. Same way in the film, you're seeing him. What you're saying. You're never knowing what he's thinking. And the novelization of Halloween, the original one, go listen to it if you don't own it. On YouTube, same guys, you hear his thoughts, you hear what he's thinking before he kills. And it was really, really cool how you were getting inside his head. I guess you could say, for better or worse, Rob Zombie did the same thing where you're actually seeing what Michael was thinking in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but there's I go down that rabbit hole with all the white horse bullshit. But that was kind of cool. That's the only thing I'm missing in these novelizations, where in the beginning you were inside Myers' head and you felt his rage. This is his rage. What was going on in his head before he wanted to kill. And him several times, like where he was going to pounce and kill and he had to pull back because of something. And you hear him saying, "It's okay. I'll have another chance. It's going to happen." And he had to kill because it was to satisfy a craving in the original novelization, because it was actually a curse. So go back and listen to it, because it was actually a curse on his family that he couldn't control the way he was. So it's pretty cool. Go check out the episodes for those that have never read the novelization. It's pretty cool. And so that's tonight's book club. Those are all the chapters. And here we are. We're 44 minutes in and we got through everything. I don't think my cohorts are going to make it tonight. I know they were upset because they're both big fans of this movie and they were looking forward to doing this book. But as I said, life happens and it is what it is, right? Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, because that's what you talk about, Ryan. I was curious. I do remember that. Well, that's cool. If it works out, hey, man, that's freaking awesome. The way I look at it, the more money you make, the more Halloween shit I can buy. That's the way. The more money I get in my pocket, the more I spend on shit and get in trouble from my wife. But that's another story as well. But if you watch this show, you know. Or you watch anything on this channel. So yeah, so do us a favor and go do the next 11 chapters in this book. Go listen to them on YouTube, link below, or if you have the book, like I said, we're doing the Ultimate Edition because it has a couple more things in it that Nicholas Grabowski added to it. So, and that's the one that they have online. So that's the reason why we're doing this one specifically. So be sure and listen to that or read that one. So let's do some quick shameless plugs for the channel because we got a lot of shit going on the channel. Let's see. Before I get out of here, so this we just dropped this past Monday, top 5 killer kids in horror. That was a lot of fun, and a lot of those made the list, and with a bunch of other ones. So go back and check it out and see which other ones we chose. And then, oh yeah, be sure to go. Everybody loves me and Myers in the Closet together. 67 Mistakes on Halloween. This was fun. See if you saw what everybody else saw. And my best Dr. Loomis lines, which I mentioned to you, was in the novelization tonight. He was talking about it like he was a human being. That part of him died years ago. And that was my pick for Halloween 4. Oh, this is going to be a fun episode. This coming Sunday night for episode 23 of that horror movie podcast, we're doing a fantasy bobblehead draft. And that's the 3 of us as bobbleheads right there, my cohorts. So that's going to be a lot of fun where we're going to pick, I'll leave everybody in suspense. It's going to be a lot of fun. We did horror icon draft a couple of months ago too, where we narrowed it down to the best horror icon. So be sure you check out just in time because preseason football starts, if I'm not mistaken, is it this weekend? Might be this weekend. I'm not sure. I've been so busy. I haven't even seen what preseason games start. I think it's this coming weekend. I could be wrong. It's usually the first weekend of August. What else we got going on? Oh, and this was from our top 5 from a week ago, our top 5 horror movies that were set in the snow. Not necessarily Christmas movies, but horror movies set in the snow from the last podcast. That'll be up on the channel on Monday, this coming Monday morning, which is what, the 7th? Yep. And speaking of the 7th, our next watch along, we're going back to finishing the John Carpenter films. We're going to do a live watch along of 1987's John Carpenter's classic Prince of Darkness. I'm looking forward to this because this is one of my favorite films of his. I love this film. It's such a great movie. So that's Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then what else is on here? Oh, of course, 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from tonight, we will meet again. It might be on a Wednesday. I'm not sure. We had to do it today on a Tuesday because I'm not available tomorrow night. So the book club tends to teeter on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. But everybody will know. Either 2 weeks from today or 2 weeks from tomorrow, we're back. We're going to do episode number 2, where we go through chapters 11 through 22 of the Halloween 4 novelization. And like I said, in between now and then, I'm going to reach out to Nicholas Grabowski because, like I said, I know he's on Facebook. Maybe you can get him to come on. That'd be pretty cool to have the author come on. And there's another thing on here. What else is on here? Oh, so I had a busy week. Usually I review a horror movie or a movie from my youth and drop it every Friday from the 70s because right now I'm stuck in the 70s. I'm going to start doing some 80s movies too. And I was busy as hell. And usually what I do is I'll go back and watch the movie because I want to refresh my memory of the film, make bullet points, and then do my review of it and talk about what the movie is and how I feel about it and give it a ranking. I'm just busy as hell this week. So I'm trying to be consistent and drop one every Friday. So what's one movie I do not need to watch over to talk about and talk about specifics till the cows come home? Why not? Halloween. Never thought I would even do this review because I didn't think it was necessary, but you know what? Had a lot of fun with it. So that'll be Friday morning up on the channel. And what else is on here? Oh, we put this out there too, and we had some good responses. I had about 3 or 4 people that are going to be coming on so far. If you're a cosplayer, a horror cosplayer, and you do, say you dress as Myers, say you dress as Ghostface, or Freddy Krueger, any of the horror icons or anything in horror, just let us know. We got some. I know our good friend Lito is him and his wife. Lito is the shape of, what is he? Oh God, I'm trying to remember what his Instagram is, but he does a great Myers. So it's him and his wife is perfect. She does Elvira. So I think they'll probably be the first 2 to come on. I got to reach out to him and we're going to coordinate. And I had a few other cosplayers reach out and I put them on the list and we're going to bring them in. Let them talk about cosplaying and they can show the cosplay because I'm fascinated by it because I'm built like friggin' a doughboy. There's no way in hell I could dress like Myers or anybody else for that matter. So I'm funny looking enough without the costume. So this is just me. So I thought it'd be cool to get some cosplayers on and have some fun with that. And also for you collectors, as you know, we do big part of our podcasting and everything on this channel revolves around the fact that I'm a Halloween collector. That's the name of the channel. My buddy Brett and Joe are big collectors of not only Halloween, but they collect all different horror entities. And Brett also collects all Rocky stuff, and he's got a sports memorabilia. So it's going to be cool. I had a few collectors reach out that want to come on and talk about their collecting, what they collect, show us their collection, So it's going to be pretty cool. If we get some people involved and just branch out and have a little bit, just some fun with some of it's a lot of the people that's usually in our chat too. So it's going to be cool to have them up on the channel with us. And I believe that's all the shameless plugs for this channel for this fine evening. So make sure you like the video. Make sure you hit subscribe too, because a lot of people that aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out. We're trying to hit 700 subscribers. We were doing good for a while, and it seems to have stalled a little bit. So if you're not subscribed, hit that button. Don't cost nothing. I'm subscribed to like 1 million people because I don't care. People say subscribe. Yeah, help a brother out. You took the time to entertain me. Why shouldn't I hit that subscribe button? That's the way I look at it. Don't cost nothing. And I believe that's it for this tonight. I have a bunch of stuff to do, so I'm gonna get going. Thanks for everybody chimed in the chat tonight. Like I said, leave comments below. Let me know how you feel about the novelization. If there's anything that stands out. Like I said, there's a couple of different things tonight that would have been really cool had they been in the film. Let me know your thoughts on it. Make sure you read the next 11 chapters and come back in 2 weeks, because that's going to be fun. And let me take the banner down, and I'm going to get out of here because I do have a bunch of stuff to do. Where is everything here? And I'm going to, where are the outro? There it is. Yeah, I told you that's why I was almost 15 minutes late starting this, because just got a lot of shit going on. So I'm going to go get it done. I'll probably talk to my cohorts after the fact. But like, subscribe, all the happy horse shit. Check everything out on the channel. There's a lot of shit on the channel. If you like horror shit, if you like music shit, there's a lot of shit. You'll just step into a lot of shit. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think. And until then, we will see you guys on Sunday night. Talk to you guys soon.